Welcome to CairoCodes. This video is a first look of our list viewer webpart. We hope you enjoy our products. Let's start by watching the list viewer webpart in actions. As we can see, here is a SharePoint internet-facing site for one of our clients which is extensively using the SharePoint List Viewer webpart. This is the website homepage, which contains multiple instances of the SharePoint List Viewer webpart. Market news. Corporate news. Your markets today. And tweets webpart. Let's see other shapes of the list viewer. By going to this page, Investment Bank. Here is an instance of the list view webpart, which displays images from an asset library, using a photo slider created by JavaScript. Also, we can switch the webpart viewer by clicking on the View as Table button, which displays a different view for the library items. Let's go to another page called Securities Brokerage to see another instance of the list viewer webpart. Here is the list viewer webpart. The list viewer is displaying the list items in expand and collapse view. You can expand the view for each item, and also collapse the view for the item. Now, let's go to see a fun thing with the list viewer webpart. By navigating to the Contact Us page, we will see an integration between Google Maps and SharePoint List Viewer webpart. Here are the countries for the company branches. By clicking on each country, the map will reflect the available branches for the selected company. Also, it will displays the addresses for branches for each country here under the map. Now, let's see an example of joining multiple lists together and view their data in a hierarchy view. Let's go to Private Equity page under our Services menu. I will select the Our Funds from the left-hand side navigation bar. And here is our funds displayed on the page using the List Viewer webpart. As you can see, each fund is highlighted on the mouse hover event. Let's click on the first fund to expand and view its content. Here is the content of the first fund informed. Let's click on the second fund, EFG Capital Partners Fund 3, LP, to expand it. Here is the content of the second fund. It contains a text description, current investments, and realized investments. Current investments and realized investments are reading data from separate lists, so this viewer is displaying data from three lists: funds list, current investment list, and realized investments list. Under the current investment item, let's click on the first investment, Maritime and Oil Services, to expand its content. Let's expand the second one. Here we can see images and 4 lists columns. Geographical focus, sector, description of business, and investment data. This was a usage of multiple lists joined together by List Viewer webpart to render and display its data in a highly customizable views. Now, let's see other functionality of the List Viewer webpart. Filtering. Let's going to our Firm section from the top navigation bar. Then I will select the Awards bar from the bottom of the left navigation bar. Now, here is the Awards page which renders and displays the company awards from the awards list. This a highly customized view which displays companies' awards on a vertical content slider created by JavaScript. Now, look at the 2 filters at the top of the slider. Here is a filter for business line and the other one for the award year. Let's select Foundation from business line filter. As you can see, the list instantly filtered by business line and it contains 3 awards for Foundation business line. Let's select 2009 from the year filter, also the list instantly filtered by the year. Let's clear both filters. You should notice that there is no postbacks to the SharePoint server. All calls done asynchronously by using jQuery Ajax functionality. Now, let's look again at both filters. The business line filter, it contains several values. And year filter also contains different values and they are sorted. These filters render its items from the same awards list. The SharePoint List Viewer webpart selects the unique values from each column to render the filter items. And it's sorted in the direction based on your choice. Now let's see another example for the List Viewer filter. Let's go to the website homepage. In the corporate news section in the middle of the page. On its header, let's click the archive link. Now we are in the company news archiving page. But now we have 3 filters instead of 2. 2 of them are drop-down lists and the third one is a text box. As you have seen from the previous example, you can filter by both drop-down lists and the results come instantly. Let's find something on the page to search for it. Let's write the word strategic in the filter text box and click on the button. Here is the result of the search. On the first item we can see the strategic word. But in the second item, there is not strategic word displayed. Why? This is because the designer configured the viewer to display the title and brief text of news, not the whole body. Let's open the second item in the new windows to see the word strategic. By search for it using the browser, we can see it here. Wow, it's cool. The designer can configure the filters to search in multiple list fields. Now let's see one more thing and important thing. The paging. In this page, company news, if we scroll down we will see the paging control. The pager is fully customizable by designer or developer. Now let's navigate to different pages. As you can see, the data came without page refresh. This is because the List Viewer webpart uses asynchronous calls by utilizing jQuery Ajax functionality to retrieve data from the server. Now, this is the time to see how things done. Let's start by a blank SharePoint site. We copied some of the Northwind database tables to SharePoint lists. The magic of using SharePoint List Viewer is, you only need to create the HTML templates for your list data. Here are the site lists and libraries. Customers list. Employees list. Orders list. Categories list. Order details list. And employees photos asset library. Let's going to the site homepage. From the ribbon bar I'll select page and then click on the edit button. On this webpart zone click add webpart link. Here from webpart's categories panel select CairoCodes. Now select list viewer webpart and then click the add button. As we can see here, the webpart is in design mode. It waits your templates and configurations to render the content. From the webpart commands let's select edit webpart to edit its properties and to set our templates. The first thing we will do is selecting the list or library and then selecting the view. The view is a normal SharePoint list view. This technique giving you full control on data retrieved by the view. You can configure list views, select certain columns, define sorting and filtering rules, also create calculated fields. And then use your created view directly here. Now, let's select the employee list and all items view. After selecting the list and the view, we can set our HTML templates right now. Here on the webpart properties panel, we see some buttons here which sets different templates for different functionalities. Let's find the item template button. Here it is. Let's click on it to open the text editor to write our template. So now what to write? You can write any HTML content, or write any text. The content you will add will be repeated for each item returned from the view. Now, let's add some HTML content. Here is an HTML element with border style. Border 1px, solid, and blue color. Let's add first name text and then colon and finally add break element. Let's add last name text and then colon and finally add break element. Let's add city text, colon and break. Now, let's click the OK button, and then click the OK button on the webpart properties panel. As we see now, the web part still in the editing mode. Let's click Stop Editing button from the ribbon bar and see the result. Here is the rendered result. The HTML content we added repeated 9 times as the number of returned items. What actually happened is, the list viewer webpart opened the employees list and retrieved data from the list by using the selected view, which is all items view. And finally bind our HTML template with the returned data. Now, we need to display the list items data. Let's see how we can bind them to the HTML item template. We use the double curly brackets and colon to reference a field from the list. Here are the entries double curly brackets, colon and the field's internal name, and then close the double curly brackets. Now, where to obtain the internal field's name? Fortunately, the list viewer web part provides us with the view internal field's names. Let's scroll down the web part property. Here is a panel contains view fields. We can select them and copy them to a notepad to use it later. Now, let's copy the first name field and add it to our template. Now we will surrounding it with our lovely curly brackets. Now, let's repeat the task for last name and city. Now, let's wrap the first name in a spam with red font color. Now we have done our HTML template. We can now press OK to close the window, and then press OK on the Web Parts Properties panel. As we can see now, here is the first name, last name, and city, and the first name formatted with red color. Now, as we just seen the idea and how it works, let's create a fully HTML template for the employee item. You can design your HTML templates in any HTML editor. In this example, we will use Microsoft Expression Web to design our template. Here is a pre-designed HTML template. Look, we removed the HTML and body tags. We only include the elements we need in our template. Now, look at how bound our view fields. As you know from the previous example, we use the internal field name. Look at the field entries. Here is the employee ID. And title. Title of courtesy. Full name, which is a mix of first name and last name. And so on. We also included an employee photo in the template. Let's see how it is bound. Look, it is a normal IMG element, and in the src attribute we added our field token photo path. Let's copy the HTML content and paste it in our web part item template. Now click OK and let's see the result. As we can see, the list repeated for each item in the list. Let's see another cool feature. The paging feature. Let's open the WebPart Properties window. Check Show Pager checkbox. Set page size to 1. Click OK and let's see the result. As you can see, the items displayed one by one. And there is no postbacks on page number click. This video was a first look at CairoCodes SharePoint List Viewer web part. It contains a rich feature set, paging, grouping, scripting, joining multiple lists, and more features. Please watch the upcoming videos to learn more about SharePoint List Viewer. Thank you very much for interesting in CairoCodes products.